going to be hard to get this under control. We face some hard weeks ahead of us. Even if we implement tough measures now, universal masking, closing those congregate settings, there's still a number of weeks ahead of us where the case count's going to go up. We're going to cross 50,000 cases maybe today, and deaths are unfortunately going to start to go up again. Probably in the next week or two, we'll see over 1,000 deaths a day.
And we did cross 50,000 new cases today. Along with that grim assessment, the former FDA commissioner said there's likely well over 100,000 Americans contracting the virus every day. Hours ago, the vice president arrived in Arizona, one of the newest epicenters, to meet with the state's Republican governor. Before his arrival, Arizona recorded its highest single-day total of new cases. Take a look at these charts. They're not little spikes. They're big spikes, adding over 4,800 positive cases. NBC's own Vaughn Hilliard reported earlier that over 28% of people being tested are testing positive. The state also recorded its highest single-day death toll, adding 88 more deaths. Arizona's health director already approved crisis care standards amid the surge of COVID-19. That allows hospitals to ration care if they can't treat all patients. That's everybody's worst nightmare, that you go to the emergency room and you don't get the treatment you need because they're rationing care. That's what they do in the field during war. Here with us again, Dr. Mercedes Carnethon, Vice Chair of Preventative Medicine at the Feinberg School of Medicine at Northwestern University. And we welcome to the broadcast Will Humble. He's the Executive Director of the Arizona Public Health Association and the former Director of the Arizona Department of Health Services. Welcome to both of you. Will, talk to me about Arizona. What's the situation there? We know in some states we are bumping up against capacity. In Houston, for instance, we're above capacity in terms of ICU equipment and beds. What are we looking at in Arizona?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, we're in something called crisis standards of care, and that's a situation in which the hospital systems are prepared to make really tough decisions about who gets care and who doesn't when the resources aren't there to treat the people that show up. It's essentially a triage system so that, you might have 4 or 5 people that need it to be in the intensive care ward, but you've only got a couple of beds. And so you have to use a scorecard, essentially, and decide which one of those patients is most likely to live. And you make a triage decision about people that are doing badly and decide maybe we're not going to provide care for this person because I have a better shot with this other person. And it also considers how many years of life that you may have left if you do recover as part of the formula. And by the way, this is not just COVID-19 patients. This is people who show up with a heart attack or any other medical condition. Right. Everybody gets triaged. Yeah.
Right. So anybody in a car accident or whatever the case is, this affects everybody. Dr. Carnethon, the president likes to talk about the relationship between testing and coronavirus cases. He has implied that if you don't have as much testing, you won't have as many cases, which doesn't work basically with pregnancy, but he thinks it does. But the fact is, in Arizona, the number of new cases are outpacing the testing that they've increased in Arizona.
I think that's a particular challenge, that people who are seeking tests are having long waits in order to get those tests. In many cases, testing supplies are inadequate, and people may be turned away without finding out whether they're positive. And during that time, they may be out circulating unknown as positive cases and infecting other individuals.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.